Hey, this is Shane from Shane's Books and Review, and today we're going to be talking about Fresh Off the Boat from Eddie Haung. This was an incredibly interesting book compared to other biographical type books that I have read in the past, in that this one I found quite interesting. First, I would like to say this was a definitely interesting read. It was a lot different from any other autobiographical type things that I've read in the past, in that this was interesting, to me anyway. Why was twofold. One, you had the story of Eddie growing up from pretty much elementary school until after college, and then him going and starting his own business. It was referencing a lot of the same things that I listened to whenever I was a teenager and whenever I was growing up in the 90s. There was that emotional and personal attachment that I had to this book from the get-go that I just didn't know about until I cracked the pages and started reading. And the second thing had to do with personal development of Eddie himself. The thing that was actually more important in this book to me than his story, which was absolutely fantastically interesting, by the way, was the conversation that could be started, the dialogue that could be opened about race. And it was more of the opening of the dialogue that he shared with me that typically I don't get, because whenever you ask people face-to-face particular questions, people shut down because it's a very sensitive topic. I understand that and I respect it. But because of his book, I was able to see his perspective from the things that he's had to deal with. And that was a wonderful thing for me because it helped answer a lot of questions that just wouldn't have been answered otherwise. So I encourage everybody to read this book. Not so much because I'm a warrior of social justice and I'm a warrior of that. That's not me. That's for other people. But if everybody could have a little more understanding about what's going on, how their acting could affect people, that is a good thing for everybody. So that part of the story was absolutely just drew me in. This was just factual. Here's my feelings. Here's how it is. Here's how I see it. This is how I was treated. And I respect that so much. If more people could do that, the world would be a much better place. Now, let's talk about that story a little bit, because it starts out with him being in elementary school, like I said, and him getting in a little bit of trouble, and his parents, his relationship with his parents, and it was just fantastically interesting. I know I've already said that, but it really was, because whenever he was in elementary school, he got bounced around a lot, and he didn't like that. So as he was in elementary school and growing up, he had a lot of issues because his dad was kind of this mystery person that might have ties to Taiwan type gang members. And his mom, she's just doing the best that she can. But with those two things going on, his dad's kind of a tough individual and would be an incredibly hard individual to please. The people that were the first immigrants that came in, and I'm not going to say my parents because they weren't this, but I had friends of mine that had issues where they would get beaten with switches, belts, they would get beaten with large objects, things that you had no right hitting kids with, but it was just accepted that, wow, you really must have screwed up to get that kind of treatment, huh? It's you did something stupid and then you got a stupid punishment. And I'm not saying that it's right. Eddie did share this from whenever he was in elementary school, his dad beating him with a rubber toy that was really too large to be hitting somebody with. Just because Eddie was getting out of hand and not necessarily putting things right, but he was most certainly teaching Eddie lessons. He felt like in the end that he kind of needed those sorts of things to keep himself in line, but on the same token, from the way that he was talking about it, I could tell that he didn't really enjoy it, but nobody really likes spankings either. And they're just the way that they are. Now, I'm not defending his dad, not at all, because I think that was a bit much. The book was chock full of all kinds of those small little details that make the story enriched. Now, there were a lot of other things, though, that were in here, like whenever he goes to college and his favorite professors versus just the average professors, the people that kept him on his toes, that taught him lessons about life, that made him into what he was. I mean, these were the parts of the story that, well done, sir. Thank you. Do I recommend this book? I most certainly do. Maybe. And here's why I'm saying maybe. If I were to rate it, and I don't really want to rate it, but if I were to rate it on a 5-star scale, I'd put it at about a 3.5 to a 4. And the reason why is because, one, this really isn't my kind of book, but it was incredible to read and to make my way through. and it keeps you engaged the whole time you're reading it. So that's the maybe, is it's worth that chance to see if you're going to like it or not. Now, we're into 2018. I would like to thank the people that have been watching my videos. Good on you. And if you saw anything in here that you liked, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, click the like, and share it, because, that actually does do something. And beyond that, if you happen to find a good book in between now and then, let me know about it, because I would love to read it with you guys. And happy 2018 to everybody.